The grocery stores in your town have exactly 72 hours of food on their shelves. When those trucks stop rolling, the only families eating well will be the ones who planted these 10 crops 6 months ago. While everyone else is fighting over the last can of beans, you'll be harvesting fresh food from your own land. These aren't pretty Instagram vegetables. These are the 10 bulletproof crops that could mean the difference between thriving and starving when the food system finally breaks. And if you're watching this, you already know something's coming. The American farmer has always been the backbone of this nation. From the pioneers who carved homesteads out of wilderness to the victory gardeners who fed families through 2 world wars, we've always known that real security comes from the soil under our boots, not the promises of politicians or the fragility of supply chains. Look around you. Supply chains are breaking down, fertilizer costs have tripled, diesel fuel is through the roof, weather patterns are getting more extreme every year, and we've got a generation of Americans who think food magically appears on grocery store shelves. Crop number 10, spaghetti squash. Let's start with the crop that'll give you comfort food when comfort is hard to find. Spaghetti squash produces 5 to 8 squash per plant, each weighing 3 to 5 pounds. But here's what makes it survival gold. Stored properly in a cool, dry place, these squash last 6 to 8 months without refrigeration, canning, or any processing. You harvest in September and eat fresh food in March. That's the kind of food security that kept American families fed before there was a grocery store on every corner. The eating part is where it gets practical. Cut it in half, roast it, scrape out the flesh with a fork, and you've got pasta-like strands that absorb flavor. It's a base food. You can mix it with anything: beans, meat sauce, oil. It's bland on purpose, which makes it versatile when your food options become limited. Here's the space-saving secret. Spaghetti squash are excellent climbers. Train them vertically on a trellis or fence, and suddenly you're growing 8 squash in 2 square feet of ground space instead of a 6-foot sprawl. Growing them requires the mound method for drainage. Create a small mound of dirt about 12 inches high, 3 feet wide, and plant your seeds in the top. This prevents root rot and disease, which doubles your success rate. Seed saving is automatic. One spaghetti squash produces enough seeds to plant next year's entire crop. Scoop them out, rinse off the pulp, dry them for a week, and store them. Those seeds last 5 years. Crop number 9, storage onions. Every survival garden needs onions, but not the sweet varieties you see in stores. Those rot within weeks. You want storage onions like Copra or Patterson, varieties bred to last 8 to 12 months without refrigeration. Onions aren't just flavoring, they're medicine. The sulfur compounds that make you cry when you cut them are the same compounds that kill bacteria and viruses in your body. During the 1918 flu pandemic, families that ate onions regularly had significantly lower death rates. 1 pound of onion sets produces 50 to 100 pounds of storage onions. That's a 50 to 100 times return on your investment. Plant them in early spring, 4 inches apart in rows. Harvest when tops fall over and begin to dry. The curing process is critical. Spread onions in a warm, dry, well-ventilated area for 2 to 3 weeks. The outer skin should become papery and the necks completely dry. Properly cured onions can be braided and hung or stored in mesh bags. The beauty of storage onions is their simplicity. No canning, no freezing, no processing, just harvest, cure, and store. They'll keep your family healthy and your food flavorful when fresh vegetables are a memory. But here's the survival angle most people miss. Onions are natural preservatives. They contain compounds that inhibit bacterial growth. Adding onions to your stored foods helps prevent spoilage and extend shelf life. Crop number 8, beans. Your body can't survive on grains and vegetables alone. You need protein, and beans deliver 15 to 20% protein by weight. They store for years in sealed containers and provide the complete nutrition your body needs when meat becomes scarce or unaffordable. Plant climbing varieties, not bush beans. Climbing beans like pole beans or runner beans Grow up a trellis and produce 20 pounds of dry beans from a single 6-foot trellis that only takes up 2 feet of ground space. Growing them is straightforward. Plant seeds along the base of your trellis after the last frost. They'll climb on their own, but water moderately. Harvest. When pods are dry and brittle, that's when the beans inside are fully mature. Here's the bonus that makes beans absolutely critical. They fix nitrogen in the soil. Every bean plant you grow makes your soil richer for next year's crops. When fertilizer becomes scarce or unaffordable, that biological nitrogen is the difference between thriving and failing. So, seed saving is automatic. The beans you eat are the seeds you plant. Just keep back a couple handfuls from your harvest for next season. Beans stay viable for 3 years if stored cool and dry. Why beans are essential. Protein is non-negotiable for survival. Your body needs it to repair tissue, build muscle, and maintain immunity. Beans give you that without hunting, without livestock, without anything except dirt and a trellis. Crop number 7, potatoes. There's a reason the Irish called it the potato famine, not the potato shortage. Potatoes are the foundation crop that can keep a family alive when everything else fails. 1 pound of potatoes gives you 350 calories and enough carbohydrates to fuel a full day of physical labor. Storage varieties like russet Burbank keep for 6 to 8 months in cool, dark conditions. You don't need acres. A potato tower made from chicken wire produces 80 to 150 potatoes in a 3-foot circle. Here's the potato tower method that'll change your life. Take a 4-foot section of chicken wire and form it into a cylinder about 3 feet wide. Stake it to the ground. Fill the bottom 6 inches with soil mixed with straw or compost. Plant 4 to 6 seed potatoes on top of that layer. As the plants grow and reach about 8 inches tall, add another 6 inches of soil straw mix, burying the lower leaves but leaving the top growth exposed. Keep doing this as the plant grows until your tower is 3 to 4 feet high. The result? Depending on tower height and variety, you can harvest 80 to 150 potatoes from a single 3-foot tower. That's enough carbohydrates to keep a family fed for weeks. Grown in the space of a garbage can, seed saving is effortless. Just save a few small potatoes from your harvest. Store them cool and dark. In spring, plant them. Each potato eye becomes a new plant. Crop number 6, tomatoes. Most people grow tomatoes for fresh eating, but tomatoes are a survival crop when you approach them correctly. Grow paste or Roma varieties, not slicers. Paste tomatoes like San Marzano are meatier, less watery, and better for preservation. One plant produces 20 to 40 pounds of tomatoes in a season. You can eat them fresh, but the real survival value is drying them, turning them into sauce, or fermenting them for storage. Growing them requires support, cages or stakes, and consistent watering to prevent blossom end rot. Plant after last frost, give them full sun, and they'll produce for months. Here's why tomatoes matter for long-term food security. They give you vitamin C, lycopene, and acidity, which matters when your diet becomes grain and starch heavy. They're also one of the few crops that can be preserved multiple ways: dried, sauced, canned, or frozen. Seed saving is absurdly simple. Pick a perfectly ripe tomato from a healthy plant. Squeeze the seeds and gel into a jar with a little water. Let it ferment for 2 to 3 days until a layer of mold forms on top. That breaks down the germination-inhibiting gel. Rinse the seeds, dry them on a paper towel, store them. Tomato seeds last 4 to 6 years. Crop number 5, peas. Here's something modern farmers have forgotten. Peas are nitrogen-fixing legumes, which means they pull nitrogen from the air and deposit it in soil through their roots. Peas make your soil better for the next crop. When you can't rely on fertilizer supply chains, that's critical. But beyond soil health, peas are fast, productive, and versatile. Shelling peas give you dry protein similar to beans. Snap peas give you fresh eating in 60 days. Both climb, so they're space efficient. One 6-foot trellis produces 5 to 10 pounds of peas per season. Here's what makes peas absolutely essential. They're cold friendly. Plant as soon as soil can be worked in spring. They tolerate frost. They'll produce before anything else is ready. When food security matters, having something to harvest in early spring could mean the difference between making it through the hunger gap or not. Seed saving is simple. Let some pods mature fully on the vine until they're dry and brown. Shell them out. Store the dried peas. Plant them next spring. Pea seeds last 3 years. Crop number 4, zucchini. Zucchini is survival food disguised as a garden vegetable. One plant produces 30 to 50 pounds of food per season. It grows so aggressively that your problem won't be getting enough. It'll be what to do with the surplus. That's exactly what you want when food scarcity hits. Here's the growing trick. Create a mound of dirt 12 inches high, 3 feet wide. Plant seeds in the top. Why? Drainage. Zucchini hates wet roots, and the mound keeps water flowing away from the stem, preventing rot and disease. Most people harvest zucchini way too early. Those tiny grocery store zucchinis are babies. If you want seeds and long-term storage, let them grow huge, the size of a man's arm or bigger. When zucchinis grow to full maturity, the flesh stays soft and flavorful. But more importantly, that's when seeds inside fully develop. It's also the only way to store zucchinis for 5 to 6 months without refrigeration. Seed saving is easy. Cut open a mature zucchini, scoop out seeds, rinse off pulp, dry them for a week. Those seeds stay viable for 6 years. Roast the extras with oil and salt for a nutrient-dense snack packed with magnesium, zinc, and healthy fats. Why zucchini is essential? It grows in 60 days, tolerates neglect, produces absurd amounts of food, stores through winter without electricity, and gives you unlimited replanting potential. Crop number 3, sunflowers. Most people think sunflowers are decorations. That's the kind of thinking that'll leave you hungry. Oilseed sunflowers, not ornamental varieties, are one of the most calorie-dense crops you can grow. 1 pound of sunflower seeds delivers 2,600 calories and 40 grams of protein. That's nearly a full day's nutrition from one plant. Unlike most garden crops heavy on carbs, but light on fat, sunflowers give you essential fats your body needs for hormone production and sustained energy. Growing them is simple. Full sun, decent soil. Space them 12 inches apart. They'll grow 6 to 8 feet tall in 90 days. Harvest when the back of the flower head turns brown and seeds are plump. Here's the survival angle. Sunflower seeds are calorie-dense, store for a year in shells, and provide fat, which is rare in survival gardens. Fat is essential for calorie absorption, hormone production, and sustained energy. Most garden crops are low-fat. Sunflowers fix that. Seed saving is automatic. The seeds you eat are the seeds you plant. Keep back a handful for next season, and you've got unlimited replanting potential. Why sunflowers are number 3. When you're doing physical labor all day and food is limited, you need fat and protein. Sunflowers deliver both in a package that grows easily and stores simply. Crop number 2, cabbage. Scurvy isn't just an old disease, it's what happens when people don't get vitamin C for months. 1 head of cabbage contains more vitamin C than a bag of oranges, and it stores for 6 months in a root cellar. But cabbage's real value is sauerkraut. Properly fermented sauerkraut keeps for years without refrigeration and actually increases in nutritional value. The beneficial bacteria support immune function when medical care becomes scarce. Cabbage is bulletproof. It tolerates frost, grows in poor soil, and produces heads weighing 10 to 20 pounds. Start seeds indoors 6 weeks before last frost. Transplant when soil can be worked. Space plants 12 to 18 inches apart. Harvest after first light frost when sugars are concentrated. Store heads in a cool, humid place like a root cellar. Properly stored cabbage lasts until spring. The fermentation process is simple. Shred cabbage, salt it heavily, pack in jars. Keep submerged under its own juices. Fermentation takes 3 to 4 weeks. The result keeps indefinitely and provides probiotics that support health during stressful times. Why cabbage is number 2. It provides essential vitamin C that prevents deficiency diseases, stores for months without processing, and ferments into sauerkraut that keeps for years while supporting immune function. Crop number 1, Mangel beets. At number 1 is the crop most Americans have never heard of, but it might be the most important you ever plant. Mangel beets produce roots weighing 20 to 40 pounds each. 1 acre produces 50 to 100 tons of livestock feed. Here's why Mangel beets are number 1. When commercial feed becomes unaffordable or unavailable, your livestock will starve without them. When your livestock die, you lose milk, eggs, and meat. Mangel beets keep your animals alive, which keeps your protein sources intact. But here's the secret. These aren't just animal feed. In desperate times, they're human food too. Bland and fibrous, but edible and nutritious. When everything else fails, Mangel beets will keep you alive. The variety you want is Mammoth Long Red. It produces roots weighing 40 pounds or more. Plant in spring in deep, rich soil. Space 8 to 12 inches apart. Keep well watered throughout the growing season. Harvest after first frost when tops die back. Carefully dig roots, brush off soil, store in a root cellar. They'll keep for 8 to 10 months. The productivity is staggering. No other crop comes close to this level of feed production per acre. When you're trying to keep chickens, goats, or cattle alive through winter, Mangel beets are the difference between success and disaster. Processing is simple. Chop and feed raw to livestock, or cook for human consumption. The tops are edible greens when young. Nothing gets wasted. Before we wrap up, let me tell you about a few crops that almost made this list but didn't quite make the cut. Soybeans grow easily and provide excellent protein, but they require processing to be digestible. And most Americans don't have the knowledge or equipment to turn soybeans into food. Rice is incredibly productive and stores well, but it requires flooded fields that most American farmers can't provide. Oats are cold hardy and nutritious, but they're harder to process than wheat and don't store quite as long. The 10 crops on this list were chosen because they work for American growing conditions, require minimal processing, and can be grown successfully by farmers with basic equipment and knowledge. These 10 crops represent more than just food security. They represent the agricultural wisdom that built this nation and kept American families fed through the Great Depression, 2 world wars, and countless other challenges. Your grandfather understood something that we've forgotten in our rush toward convenience and global supply chains. Real security comes from the soil under your feet and the seeds in your hand. These crops won't just keep you fed when the trucks stop rolling. They'll give you the independence and self-reliance that made America great in the first place. The time to plant is before you need to. Seeds are cheap now, knowledge is free. But when everyone realizes that grocery stores aren't reliable, you'll be harvesting your 3rd crop while your neighbors are still trying to figure out which end of a seed goes in the ground. Don't forget to subscribe for more practical farming wisdom that could save your life. And check out the next video on your screen where I reveal the forgotten preservation methods your great-grandmother used to store food for years without electricity.